in and let's see what she can provide us with the fundamental side of the market. Hi, Alexis.
Hello, hi guys. Yeah, all right. I think what Julian mentioned about follow through was really interesting because we are at an interesting, probably period, and I think what is interesting as well. Let me just share my screen. Is if we look at just the statistics for the GDP figures, it pretty is quite interesting where the US and China is at the moment. And as you guys know, I'm a big fan of monitoring the China market because I do think it has a very close relation to the Aussie dollar. So that's why I keep a close eye on it. So it's interesting because the last, I would say the last quarterly GDP news from China is very muted. All right, it's 0.6%, and if we compare it based on what it has been enjoying post COVID recovery. It's been averaging about 3% ish, and then suddenly it dips down to 0.6%. It kind of is makes me wonder what's happening over there. And you can see that the US also has very healthy quarterly GDP figures, which also again might be also due to the investment side of things where people are spending so-called spending money and pouring money into the stock market. So that being said, we have over here again. I like to look at the CNY USD just for reference to just to see where everything is at. So if you see the Chinese renminbi against the US dollar, it has been strengthening over. I'm going to change to a daily time frame. It has been weakening probably for the last Friday. It has kind of reached a what seems to be a high test bar looking ish. So it makes me wonder with all the news that's coming in whether or not there's a potential softening of the renminbi in terms of a correction of sorts. And if we flip it around and just look at dollar CNY, okay, you can see again it's at a very interesting level. And if we compare the CNY USD CNY figures just to see in terms of chart patterns, we're just going to flow through the Aussies. And I like to start with the Aussie dollar. Very range bound, all right. But if we just scroll through the entire Aussie, you can see that there's a question of whether or not this depression of the Aussie dollar will be a follow through. And also in the news, there has been news about how China is looking at has set for its birth month since that this is March 31st. So basically, China has had a very bad March, end of March, and then we look into this that came out in January. So there's a lot of news about China versus the USD and how it reacts to it. So with the stock market rising and with China's closed door policy, where there are not many assets in terms of not many opportunities to purchase investments or purchase stocks on the China market as compared to USD. It makes me wonder whether or not the renminbi will have any further upside to go to. So follow through is interesting for me this week because we have news like this coming out. This is a bit more recent, April 14, I think early last month. So we have things like the digital currency. So China has its fair share of news in the market. And it's interesting because we are talking about China's strength, and China's strength has been there since I would say this is April. So April onwards on the daily time frame, you can see it's just had very nice big strength over here. And my question is whether or not this strength will follow through into the next week. Will it see it? Will we see the CNY continue towards the probably previous horizontal highs over here in comparison to the USD now that Biden is in power? Now that I think Biden is less. Is probably more forgiving of China as compared to Trump in terms of his trade policies. So my question again is, will the market be able to, pick up against the US dollar and break through this area into the previous highs? And if it does or does not do that, then can we take advantage of these moves via the Aussie dollar? All right. So the Aussie has pulled back a big amount. Okay, and my question then is, what is leading the Aussie market, or what is lagging the Aussie market? So what's in front first? All right, again on Aussie Kiwi, you can see a very nice bullish bar over here. My question is then, will the China renminbi be able to pull up this entire segment? All right, will this entire segment be able to be pulled up by the China market? And if you look at Aussie dollar, again, it's a bit shaky, I would say. Since April, from April onwards, it's a bit choppy, but the general direction is still towards the upside. So if the RMB on, let's see, this chart, okay, if the renminbi is able to break through this area, right, can we see the Aussie doing the same? Of course, leading first by the Aussie dollar, the common currency base, whether or not the Aussie dollar can break above this level, and will the general Aussie strength follow suit as well? All right, so this area is interesting for me as well. Okay, um, and of course, we had a pullback last week. Okay, once a pullback. So again, I'm looking for opportunities next week to long the Aussie. But again, the follow through is there, question mark. Will this be able to follow through? Will this be able to follow through and bounce off this so-called upward channel towards the upside? Or will this currency break down, all right, and start to waver? Because on the CNY side, okay, you can see also that there is a little bit of a pause. I would consider this a little bit of a pause because we are reaching area of previous highs. All right, so this is my question mark now on where this will go. And again, I think Monday is a very good day to kind of watch and see whether what candle this brings us. I mean, if the CNY US dollar gives us a nice bullish candle on Monday, then I would say there is a good probability that the Aussie, that we will see continuation, or in fact we will see a bounce off this level, all right, of this level towards the upside. So Monday is an interesting day for me to watch the Aussie. um, that's all for me, Lloyd. I've been really busy lately, so I can't watch all the pairs, but my eye is always on China and the AUD for easy correlations.
Thank you, Alexis. Sometimes I also find my trading does actually improve by a lot, or for that particular month of week when I start concentration on a few pairs. Yeah,
Yeah,
does give you actually in-depth knowledge about